Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful. Hello and welcome to a new episode of Teaching English on Dروس Super Goal 3 and Super Goal 4. Before we start, we'd like to welcome Mr. Salih Al-Ujan, the interpreter to the sign language. You know, this is the second class in our enrichment series. We have enrichment 1, we had it in the previous lesson. Today, now, we are going to present enrichment 2, and we have 2 enrichment classes remaining. We will take them, inshallah, later on. Before we start our main class today, let's review the objectives, the goals that we are aiming to achieve at the end of the class. First, the students will be able to apply 7 skills needed for the final exam on some exercises. Also, the students will be able to answer comprehension questions based on reading text. Also, they will be able to answer comprehension questions based on listening. And the students will be able to write a short paragraph with assistance of some helping phrases. Students will be able to spell 10 words correctly. And also, the students will be able, inshallah, to identify some tips on how to speak better. Okay, now you remember in the previous lesson we told you about the 4 skills, the main 4 skills, which are listening, speaking, reading and writing. And also we told you about the sub-skills that you will need to be careful to improve all the time. What are these skills? When you listen to vocabulary, to grammar and pronunciation, which impact your ability to speak. So these 4 skills, if you take care of them, you will improve them by using them in your speaking. Also in reading, you will need 5 skills, and these 5 skills, if you take care of them in your reading, that will impact your ability to write. The first one is vocabulary, as you can see here. The second one is grammar. The third one is spelling, punctuation, and handwriting. Okay? How to improve these skills? We told you in the previous lesson to practice, because as we said before, practice makes perfect. In our class today, we are going to cover 2 units in Sober Goal, 1 unit in Sober Goal 3, and the other unit is in Sober Goal 4. This unit is Unit 8, What's Wrong? Okay, you know what this unit was dealing about. It is going to help you how to ask and talk about health. It will also help you how to name parts of the body, how to talk about illnesses and their symptoms. Also, it will help you to learn how to make suggestions and give advice. In the second unit that we are going to cover in this class, which is in Sober Goal 4, that is Unit 1, Let's Go Out. What are we going to study in this unit? First, we're going to learn how to talk about free time activities and chores. Okay? Also, we'll learn how to make suggestions. We will learn how to express obligation and how to make excuses. Okay, now we're going to cover 7 skills that are needed in your final exam. As we told you before, that the final exam will be in 40 marks, and the skills needed for this exam, as we said before, the first one is guided writing, the second is reading, the third is grammar, vocabulary, spelling, listening and speaking. Okay, you know how many marks does each one of these skills need, and you can manage how to deal with these questions. And in this class, inshallah, we'll tell you how to get the highest mark as possible. Okay, the first question that you're going to have in your final exam will be guided writing. In your stage, you don't write freely, you just write with guided phrases, with guided words, with guiding words and with guiding phrases. So the teacher provides some of these phrases to help you to build your own or to develop your own writing. Okay? How to develop your writing with these words or with these phrases, and sometimes you have them as questions. The teacher gives some questions. If you answer the questions and if you put them together, you make a paragraph. You need to write short sentences to avoid mistakes. This is very important, especially for your age, to write short sentences. And you know that the sentence starts with a capital letter and ends with a full stop. This is very important to get used to. Okay. Also, you need to notice the words that are provided for you to support you to write. They will remind you of the information or of the ideas that you're going to write about, and also it will help you to recognize some of the words and their spelling. So you find sometimes parts of speech like noun, verb, adjective, you have to realize what part of speech the word is when you use it. Okay. Also, sometimes you will have them as dialogue and conversation. You will need first to start with the topic sentence, as we said. How to do that? The easiest way is to paraphrase, to change the title of what you are given into a sentence to start with, so that your reader will learn and will recognize what you are going to write about. Also, how to build the sentence, that is SVO. We mean by that subject, verb, object. This is how the English sentence is built. We'll come to that later on, inshallah. How to change a noun into a verb? As we said before, the easiest way is to add ing to the verb. Okay, like play, you say playing. Read, you say reading. Read is a verb. When you want to change it into a noun, you say reading. Okay, I read books, or you can say I like reading. So here, reading, we use it as a noun. Also, you can start with reading. For example, you say reading is my hobby. So here we change the verb into a noun just simply by adding ing. Okay, transitional phrases, on the other hand, as a result, consequently, and so on. These are also needed to memorize some of them. Okay, the first example that we are going to take today is how to write about last time you were sick. This is from Unit 8. The teacher might give you this question in your final exam, asking you to write about the last time you were sick. And here the teacher will give you also some of the helping phrases and sentences, like questions here. Where were you at that time? The place you were, where you decide, and you start your sentence with. Also, you need to answer this question to make the second sentence. How did you feel? Okay, what did you do when you were sick? Okay, also you need to answer, what advice do you have for a person who gets sick? Usually when you write a paragraph, the best way to end your paragraph is to give your perspective, your idea, your advice, for example, to the people or to the person who's reading your article or your paragraph. So we'll have some example here. Last month I was sick. Here, where were you? And you will answer here, I had a cold, I coughed and sneezed a lot, my father was very upset about me. Notice here how short the sentences are. That will help you to avoid mistakes. I drank hot liquids, but my sickness was still, so my father took me to the hospital. The doctor advised, take the medicine, relax for 1 week, and make your body stronger by eating healthy food. Now look at the quotation here. The quotation here indicates that this is exactly what the doctor has said. You will be better, he said. That means he is referring to the doctor. After I followed up his instruction, my sickness disappeared. It was a terrible time. Okay, this is how you can build your writing. As we said before, subject, verb, object will help you to build your own sentences and to write short sentences that will make your writing better. Okay, also you have another option of this writing. You can say, I was sick on vacation last winter, we were on a ski trip in the mountains, and you develop your writing into actions. And also you have to decide something very important, the tense that you're using. If you're talking about the past, you have to use the past tense all the time. Notice here, I was. What does I was mean here? It means that it was in the past. Last winter. This is a time phrase, which means in the previous winter. We were. Okay, here were also indicate the past, and so on. All the paragraph is written in the past because the writer is telling us about a story or something happened in the past. Okay. Another example from Unit 1. What do you do? What do you have to do when you want to write about morning before school? This unit is about chores, the daily activities that you do. The question says here, write about your morning before school. What do you do? So we're talking about chores. So what do you have to do before you go to school? Here the teacher gave you some hints to help you to develop your writing, like a shower. You take a shower. You can say, I take a shower. Okay, that is, you're talking here in the present because this is a daily thing happens. Okay, brush teeth. You can say, I brush my teeth. As simple as that. You can talk also about breakfast. Eat breakfast. You can use it like this. I eat my breakfast. And you specify the time. Or you can add any of the things that you need to add to the sentence. Next, you can say garbage. What do you do with the garbage? I take the garbage out. You can use it like this. I take the garbage out. This is how you build your sentence. You can also talk about finish homework. You can say, I finish my homework. Okay, and so on. So we will have an example for that. I have to do a lot of things in the morning before school. Look at the first sentence here. We call it, as we said before, topic sentence. Here, the writer is telling us about what he or she is going to write about. I have to do a lot of things in the morning before school. So we expect from the writer to tell us what these things are. I have to wake up. You notice here, I have to wake up. This is a very short sentence. I have to take a shower. I have to brush my teeth. I have to eat breakfast. I have to take out the garbage. And sometimes I have to finish my homework. Okay, very simple, very short sentences, and it is considered as a paragraph. Now we move to the second question, which is about reading. And when you talk about reading, that means you are going to read a text in your final exam. And this reading text, you will have some comprehension questions to check how much you understand from this reading. There are things that are important to consider in answering this question. One of them is how to know how to deal with the WH questions, like where here. When you see where, that means the teacher wants you to tell a place. So you have to find a place in the reading passage. When, you tell about time. Who, you tell about a person. What, the teacher asks you about a thing. And here, when we say why, we ask about a reason. How, we are asking about, for example, a way or a method. Okay, and also you will notice yes/no question. Sometimes when you see the sentence or the question starts with is, are, does, do, can, could, will, would, should, all these are called auxiliary verbs, and you need to notice that they are yes or no. Okay. Also, you need to know about how, as we said before. How is very important to learn how to make a question about the degree of the adjective. Like, for example, you say how long, how tall, how heavy, how light. Any adjective that you ask with how, that means you are asked to tell about the degree of this thing, okay, of the extent of the amount of things. Okay, here we're going to read a paragraph from the reading passage that is about the difference between colds and the flu. Here we are going to read a text here, a paragraph, and we will apply what we learned on this paragraph. Okay, colds usually last for 5 to 7 days. Let's listen to it, and after that we're going to answer some questions.
Colds usually last for 5 to 7 days and are caused by viruses. The body's own defense mechanisms need to fight the viruses. Unfortunately, there are more than 80 different constantly mutating rhinoviruses. So vaccination against colds is impossible. Medicines provide temporary relief from symptoms, but they cannot cure the cold.
Okay, so as we said before, we read this passage before in one of our texts and our classes in Unit 8, that is what is wrong. And we talked about the difference between colds and between the flu. Okay, this is the medicine. And we know that the cold has no vaccines and doesn't need a vaccine. Okay, now let's answer the questions here. How long does the cold usually last? Now you can answer after reading. How long does it last? You go back to the passage. You can see here it lasts for 5 to 7 days. Here, how long? We're asking about the period of time. So it is very easy to answer this question. Cold usually lasts colds usually last for 5 to 7 days and are caused by viruses. Okay, so the answer here, it lasts for 5 to 7 days. Another question, how many mutating rhinoviruses are there? So when we say how many, that means we are asking about a countable thing. So we need to answer about a number. So do we have a number here? Let's see here. Unfortunately, that means unluckily, there are more than 80 different constantly mutating rhinoviruses. So here the answer is 80. It's enough to say 80. So we can say there are 80 mutating rhinoviruses. Another question here, is vaccination against cold possible? Is it possible? Let's read and find the trick here. Look at the question very carefully. Is vaccination against cold possible? Let's see the passage here. Now mutating virus. So vaccination against colds is impossible. Notice the difference here. Possible and impossible. Is it the same? No, it's completely the opposite. So when we say possible, that means can be. But when we say impossible, that is the opposite. So here the question, let's go back to the question. Is vaccination against cold possible? No, it says here impossible. So the answer can be yes or no. So we can say here, no, it's not, because it said it is impossible. The last question here, do medicines cure the cold? Let's go back to the passage again to find out. Medicine provide temporary relief from symptoms. It's not permanent, just temporarily, but they cannot, notice here, cannot cure the cold. Okay, so the answer should be also no, they don't. Okay, notice here, is vaccination against cold possible? No, it isn't. We refer to the vaccination as it. But here, do medicines cure the cold? No, they don't. Why do we say do? Why do we say they? Because here we mention medicines. Okay, more than one, plural. So we say they. No, they don't. Okay. Also, there is another reading passage that is someone has to do it. To do what? What do you mean by it? If you still remember from the unit that we studied about the chores, that means to do the housework. Okay, someone has to do it. We mean by that the housework. Okay, now we're going to read this short paragraph also, and we will apply some of the questions on this text. Let's listen and read together.
Parents often complain that they always have to tell their teenage children to do their chores. Parents think their kids are irresponsible. On the other hand, teens feel their parents are always nagging and complaining.
Okay, you remember this passage, we read it before in Unit 8, that was about the conflict, the quarrel between teens and their parents about the daily chores. Okay, let's go to the questions here. What do parents complain of? They always complaining about what? You read the passage. Let's see here. Parents often complain that they always have to tell their teenage children to do their chores. This is what they complain. Their kids or their children don't do the chores. So the answer can be like this. They always have to tell their teenage children to do their chores. It's very important to, when you look at the question, to find the keywords. If the passage that you're reading is a long one, you look at the keyword and you can find it by scanning the text. Okay. Do parents think their kids are responsible? Another trick here. Do you think that their kids, the parents think that their kids are responsible? Let's see the passage. Parents often complain that they always have to do their teenage children to do their chores. Parents think their kids are irresponsible. Okay, here we have responsible and irresponsible. It is completely different. It is completely different. They are completely different. When we say responsible, that is the opposite of responsible. That means they are not responsible, or they are not doing, or they expecting the consequence of their work. So the answer here, no, they don't, because they said they are irresponsible. What do teens usually feel? How do teens feel about their parents? Let's go back. On the other hand, okay, here, on the other hand, that means the opposite. This is one of the transitional phrases which are important. If you're talking about something and you want to move to something else, like here in the first paragraph or the topic sentence, we talk about parents. But later on, we move to the teens. So when we want to move to another party or another person in the paragraph, we use like this transitional phrases, which is on the other hand. That means on the other side. Teens feel their parents are always nagging and complaining. This is what the teens feel about their parents: nagging and complaining. So the answer can be like this: they feel that their parents are always nagging and complaining. Now we move to the third part, that is about grammar. In the grammar here, we have to notice the tenses. Very important to learn about the tenses. You know, in English or in your textbook here, there are only 3 tenses. That is the present. In 2 tenses: the present simple, present continuous, and the past simple. When we use this formula, as we said here, SVO, subject, verb, object, like this example: Ali visits his friend, or Ali visits his friend. What do you mean by that? That means in the present, every day. That is a habit. That something happens regularly. When we talk about Ali at the moment, we say Ali is visiting his friend. Okay, notice here, Ali is visiting. In the past, we say Ali visited his friend. The same formula applied on these 3 sentences: Ali, and then the verb, then the object. Ali visits, Ali is visiting, Ali visited. Okay, here they are the same sentences, but in different times. So that is in the present, the second one in the moment, now, and the third one in the past. What about if we make it negative? When we make it negative, we do like this: Ali doesn't visit his friend. Doesn't. Okay, see, visits, we say doesn't. Okay, the next one here: Ali is not visiting his friend. Ali visited. How do we make a negative form of the past sentence? We can say Ali didn't visit his friend. If we want to make it interrogative, or we can make it a question, you can do like this: does Ali visit his friend? Notice here, after does in the negative and in the interrogative in the question, we omit the S on visit. We say Ali visits, he doesn't visit. Does he visit? And so on. Okay, what about the present continuous? Now here we say, is Ali visiting his friend? And the last one here, we use did in the beginning here to indicate or to make or to form a question. Okay, so as we said, always you have to go to page 83 to find out about the irregular verbs. There is a list there about irregular verbs. The example we're providing here is buy. The past of buy is bought. Okay, we can say he buys groceries. We can say here he bought groceries. Okay, work with a partner and ask and answer questions with how do you feel. When you ask how do you feel, that means we're asking about adjectives. Okay, let's practice this one. How do you feel when you lose something? You can say I feel angry and nervous. What are the adjectives that you can use to tell about what you're feeling? There are lots of adjectives. Let's see some of them here. This is the list of adjectives that you saw or you studied in Unit 8. Okay, these are the adjectives. Let's find them now visualized in pictures so that you will understand them better. This is the meaning of afraid. You sometimes feel afraid. When do you feel afraid? You can tell. And here, how does he feel? He feels angry. And here, he feels bad. Here, how does he feel? He feels bored. And this one, how does she feel? She feels excited. This one feels fine, or she feels okay. She feels glad. And here she feels also great. Another list also, happy, this one hot, this one angry, and this one we can tell that she is or he is ill, and this one means nervous, this one relaxed, okay, and this one here means sad, this one here sick. This is very useful in the grammar section when you want to make a sentence or question by how do you feel, and also it's important to improve your vocabulary. Also sleepy, she feels sleepy, or the baby here feels sleepy. This one is strong. This one indicates what? Terrible. Okay, this is a strong adjective that we studied in the previous lesson. Thirsty, that means he needs to drink water. She feels tired, and here he feels weak. This one, wonderful, and here the last one is worried. Okay, also in the previous unit 1, in Let's Go, we studied about a problem and advice. If you say, I have a headache, how do you give advice? we are tired. Also, how do you give advice? Maryam has a stomachache, and so on. The first one here, A, B, C, D. Let's match them. I have a headache. What do you say here? You can say you should take some aspirin. So here, if you want to give advice, you can use this expression, should. Okay, you should take some aspirin. Next one, we are very tired. You can say you should take a rest. And here also, Maryam has a stomachache. You can say she shouldn't eat anything right now. And Ahmed has a toothache. You can advise him or you can talk about him. He should go to the dentist. The children have sore throat. Okay, what can we do with them or how can we advise them? They should drink warm liquids. And the last one, Faisal is afraid of shots. That means the vaccines. He should take some pills instead. Okay, also we studied about should here and we take some example. What should we do tonight? We can say I don't care, or you can answer like this one. If you are asked what color sweater should I buy, you can say you should buy the green. Okay. Also, when you say I am cold, you can say why don't you put on a sweater? Okay, that is how to give a suggestion. Okay, she is tired. You can say why doesn't she take a rest? Okay, why doesn't? This is also one of the things that we studied about how to suggest something. Also, we move to the vocabulary. Okay, in the vocabulary questions, sometimes you have questions like matching, defining, choosing between brackets. Okay, true or false. Sometimes you need to unscramble or to rearrange sentences. In Unit 8, you studied the body parts, which are very important, and we learned that previously. What are these? This is an eye. This is his eye. This is his ear. And here, this is the throat. We can talk about this one. We can say this is a shoulder. And here, this is the back. This one is the arm. Okay, what is this? This is a hand also. And here in the middle of the leg, we can say this is a knee. And here, this is a leg. This is a foot. And here we talk about the head. This one is the nose. And this one is the mouth. This one is the teeth. Okay, these are the teeth because plural, more than one. One we can say tooth. And here we talk about neck. Here we talk about stomach, and so on. Okay, and we also need to give you some definitions on some of the vocabulary. You can see here illness. What is illness? A disease of the body. That is the illness. Okay, also we talk about symptom. What are symptoms? Okay, symptoms is a very important word. We talk about any feeling of illness or physical or mental change caused by a particular disease. Okay, here we talk about also earache, a pain in the inside part of your ear. That is the earache. So when you talk about ache here, it is a suffix that comes with some of the body organs, which means there is a pain like headache, earache, stomachache, toothache, and so on. Okay, what is this one? Sore throat is a condition in which your throat is red and feels painful. And here we talk about stomachache that we mentioned before. That means pain in your stomach. Okay. And here also this is acne. What is acne? You studied that in Unit 8. If you still remember what's wrong. A skin disease common in young people in which small spots appear on the face. Okay, that is called acne. Okay, and the last word of today here, heart. What do you mean by heart? The organ in your chest that sends the blood around your body. Okay, and here we move to the last one. As we said before, a piece of work that needs to be done regularly, that is the chore. We talked about chore, the daily chore, and we talked about a reading passage, the conflict between parents and their teens, and we learned that the problem is that the teens don't do their chores. Okay, and by this we come to the end of our class today. Thank you for watching and see you inshallah in our next episode. Goodbye.